We took control. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you, Greta.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Greta. I worked with the B team this summer on a couple of projects. How do I switch this?
If you click on it, it should go.
Oh, okay, good. So I worked on 2 projects, as you'll see, so I'm gonna try to move through it a little quickly, but I'll stop for questions in the middle. So yeah, just let me know. So the 2 projects I worked on, they differed in like scope and specific issues, but they were both they both had to do with kind of ensuring an equitable energy transition, which is a buzz term that you will probably hear many times in this presentation. But yeah, equitable energy transitions in like a demand choice study and in an electrical vehicle supply equipment deployment study. So the first one, the EARNEST project, and I hope you guys enjoy my little doodle graphs that I made this morning to try to explain a little bit what the goal of this demand choice system is. But essentially, we want to try to develop some sort of smart thermostat system that can shift energy loads around in a household to try to better match the renewable energy supply. So if you kind of have your renewable energy supply and then your household demand, and then kind of where you have excess, and then when you have, like when you don't have enough and you need diesel generation, trying to kind of balance that out to limit or to, I guess, improve the grid stability and encourage renewable use. So yeah, my kind of specific part of this project was to create a valuation study to determine what the consequences would be when this device fails, kind of. So yeah, the bigger picture is, it's a contribution to this larger project for the demand choice algorithm, which goes into this system, and then to ensure microgrid resiliency and renewable use. So the research methods that I carried out for my side of the project was a survey design and a value of lost load kind of study. So I went through a lot of different kind of possibilities, but we ended up with a like multiple bounded design that tries to reduce like the scope insensitivity and the anchoring bias that comes up a lot with value of lost load studies. And that is a direct method. There's like indirect methods as well, like using existing data to try to evaluate the impacts of lost load. But we decided to go for a direct approach with this survey. And so here are the lessons learned. The value of lost load assessment determinations is quite hard because there's kind of a lot going on there. As I said, there's indirect, direct approaches, the macroeconomic models, there's all this stuff going on, and trying to translate all of that to a survey for people to kind of understand and like really get at how they value the reliability of their electric end uses. So yeah, trying to reduce all of that down. There was a lot to be learned there, especially for me and the kind of economic side of things, which is not really my strong suit. So I got to, really explore that. And yeah, got to work with the KEA and like Chad and Kotzebue with the native village of Kotzebue to kind of determine like what specific like community-centric approaches would be the best and the most effective for this. Yeah, so my conclusion is that I've liked community-based research. Like, it was interesting to kind of go in and see how we could design a study that would benefit the people who hopefully will maybe one day use this system. I also enjoyed the like multidisciplinary aspect of it, that you got kind of the statistics, you got the economics, you got all of this stuff going on, and trying to kind of sort that out in a nice way. And yeah, in the future, we've got the algorithm development at grad students working on that. And then the prototype life cycle, I've been informed of, is very slow, I guess slower than I thought. So that was like interesting to learn, like kind of what all of that research yeah, what the research kind of timeline looks like as a college student who like, does things in a semester. I'm like, let's get this done, you guys. And then like, no, that's not how that works at all. But yeah, so I'll stop for questions for that first project if anyone has anything. Move on.
Go ahead. Maybe there'll be
Cool.
questions at the end.
Yeah, so now I'll move on to my other project. So this one, so ARED, that stands for the Alaska Rural Energy Equipment Supply Deployment Program. It's an acronym within an acronym, so you got that. I enjoyed learning that. Then, yeah, so the project goals were it was kind of, again, kind of all over the place, like to analyze the current state of public like charging stations and the user experience and like what the implications are for transportation equity, and then kind of look at what future infrastructure could be like, and then design a study for the evaluation of that future infrastructure that will be implemented by the ARED project, which is an AEA, Alaska Energy Authority project. And yeah, that we're working with as a partner. So the bigger picture is to try to reduce barriers to access of electrical vehicles, and especially like rural and underserved areas in rural Alaska, and just make sure that those chargers are kind of addressing transportation equity in an effective and location-specific way. So we had a couple of research here. There's a tiny little preview of the survey for the evaluation, but we did an analysis of the like PlugShare data, which is a web application. So did a sentiment analysis of how people are feeling about the existing chargers. So that was a function of like reliability and safety and availability and location, kind of all that sort of stuff, how people are feeling about that. And then a lot of data cataloging and analysis and mapping of relevant variables that could inform future infrastructure deployment, like gas prices and electric rates and heating degree days, etc. So a lot of that. And then we also conducted an observation study. So just going and seeing how people are using the chargers around kind of Anchorage and the greater Anchorage area. And then finally, the survey design and development, which is has the goal of evaluating those chargers that will be implemented in the future in the communities of interest. The key challenges for this was definitely kind of finding the data, making sure it was nice and clean and, and valid, and being able to use that in a way that was useful. Because yeah, again, it like came from a bunch of different places, and there was a lot of, missing data, especially in like these rural areas. So trying to kind of create a good picture with all of that. In hindsight, I think like establishing like the contacts earlier, I kind of came into this project a little late and kind of had to catch up a little bit with where everyone else was at, like with the AEA and other research partners, to try to kind of contribute in the best way. I think that I would have done that a little bit differently. And then the project future, like whoever's going to take this over, which I mean, it is an ongoing project. They have money for 9 chargers to be deployed in these communities. So those will be deployed, and then the survey will be used to assess the equity concerns of public chargers in rural Alaska. And here are some reviews from existing chargers. You can read those. But yeah, so the successes, I think, were kind of the final compilation of a big data set of all of this information about communities, and that can be used for future infrastructure deployment. And I produced 2 different maps, one about like the user sentiment of existing stations, and then another one that looks at all the specific data for the communities of interest. And I think maybe my least favorite thing about this project, even though I love this project, was the limited field work. We did have the observation studies, but yeah, it was definitely just a lot of kind of computer work, which is all right. But yeah, I think that was something that maybe, you know, I would have liked to get out there more. And then my favorite thing was working with all of the other research partners. There was a lot of really great researchers and smart people who were really willing to, like, you know, talk to me and like teach me all this stuff and kind of listen to what I had to say, which was cool. But yeah, so that was what I really enjoyed about the ARED project. So that's the end of that. And then we'll take any questions that anyone has.
You were busy.
Yeah, all over the place.
Can you explain a little bit more about what the algorithm does?
Yeah, so it's like a sentiment analysis. So it kind of collects scores from 1 through 5 on, yeah, I think it's like reliability, safety, accessibility, and then proximity to like local businesses that people can go to while they're charging. And I think there's one more that I'm forgetting, but oh yeah, like if you can like use it without a smartphone, or like if you don't have a Tesla, if like you can use the magic port converter or something like that. So all of those were kind of scored from 1 to 5, and then based on user reports, and then that was all compiled into like a score for each station, and then that was kind of compared all across like the station operators and whatnot.
Did you have to parse all of the
I only
comments
did
for
it, yeah.
score?
That was definitely very time consuming. I like did some scraping of that, and then I just did it of 2024 to try to keep things a little bit more simple. But yeah, that was, you know, quite something, but got it all.
I'm in Fairbanks. I have a question about the mapping that you did. What tools did you use to do the maps?
Sorry, say that again?
Learn those for the summer, or did you know those coming in?
Wait, what she's
Skills to do the maps, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think
Maybe.
generally yes, but kind of more the specifics. No, I got to learn a lot there. I used like ArcGIS Online. And I have like a stats background, so like kind of, you know, wrangling all of the data for that and like the shapefile management was all right. But yeah, actually kind of putting it into ArcGIS and making it look nice and interesting. I've definitely been learning a lot about that on the way, especially with the final map with all the like communities of interest data. There's a lot there, and trying to, you know, communicate that in a way that's effective has been definitely a challenge. Anyways, thank you guys.